heaven. I, Pst Maxwell Nnawuihe, I follow you. Come and do this around. My favorite is in you. Oh Lord, I call on you today. Come and turn things around. Come and turn things around. Come and turn things around for your children and child. Jehovah Jireh, turn things around. They are suffering all over Nigeria. Ndị na-azụ ahịa asaba ndị na-arụ ọrụ maka afụfụ ndị Igbo nọ n'aka Nnamdi Kanu nọ na nka eziokwu nọ na nka onye na-enweghị ihe o mere akpọrọ ya tụmọdụ na nka government and setting freedom listing. Everywhere you go, it is joy, joy, joy. When the wicked man is set upon the throne, everywhere you go, it is crying, suffer, 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 tire, 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 suffer, suffer. From the east to the west, the man will never come. From the north to the south, there is trouble. Righteousness is shining. What you will see is the reproach and butter.
Welcome, everybody. I want to welcome you to our broadcast today. We are live and direct. This is our enlightenment broadcast, and I am Pst Maxwell Nnawuihe. Permit me to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to you, depending on where you're watching from. Today is the 14th of March, 2024, and this is the continuation of our enlightenment broadcast. The basis of this very broadcast is coming from one of the most powerful documents in recent histories in the favor of Pst Nnamdi Kanu and the Biafran people. This document is coming from the United Nations. Their judgment, their opinion, their position, their support, and all there is, they have demonstrated, made public, standing on it very firmly in 2022 concerning how the Nigerian government and the Kenyan authority collaborated, worked hand in hand to extraordinarily rendition Pst Nnamdi Kanu. And the way and manner that the Nigerian government has held him in solitary confinement, almost 3 years now, a lot of interesting things. It is difficult for some people to read through and also to understand what is in the document. And one thing stands very clear. this body, United Nations, is not under any government or any continent. It is a universal body that speaks for the world. The decision of the United Nations has far-reaching influence, absolute influence, very powerful. Even if any country may decide to deny or to break their judgment or their rules or their recommendations, it doesn't exonerate them from coming under reprimand or the consequences of such actions sooner or later. But one thing is sure, they will definitely come under the reprimand. They will definitely come under the consequences. Most of the time, you see that such countries are sanctioned and they stand to lose a lot when it comes to the international community or the Committee of Nations. And I think that is where the Nigerian government is tilting to. They are tilting to being sanctioned by the United Nations for failing to cooperate with the very powerful judgment they have given in the favor of Nnamdi Kanu. As we continue, you will see in other paragraphs what damning judgment it is against the Nigerian state and Kenyan state, and what a support and what a relief it is to Nnamdi Kanu and the Biafran people. So, where we stopped in the previous broadcast is where you are looking at right now. We have been broadcasting from the first paragraph up until the 26th paragraph. And please, because of time, I don't want to repeat the things that I've said in the previous broadcast. If you want to lay hold on the things I've said, if you want to lay hold on the program, the paragraphs before now, please, after this broadcast, go to the previous broadcast from the very beginning of it so that you start following up from the paragraph 1 until today. Responses from the government. Responses from the government. This document was sent to both governments, the government of Nigeria and the government of Kenya, and they were expected to respond to what the United Nations have said in the light of the activities or the actions towards Nnamdi Kanu, subjecting him to extraordinary rendition and all manner of inhuman and degrading treatment. So the government were expected to respond to the things that the United Nations said, to the judgment, to the decision. They were given the opportunity to respond to all that the International Attorney of Nnamdi Kanu said regarding their role in his kidnap from Kenya. And they did not respond the way they expected to respond. As we continue, you are going to discover it by yourself. The Kenyan government did not respond, did not even send a sentence of response. And the Nigerian government, their response was not up to 2 sentences, which the United Nations was so upset with. Now we continue from here, please. I am Pst Maxwell Nnawuihe. This is our Enlightenment broadcast. And for records, today is the 14th day of March 2024, and we are live and direct. Responses from the government begins from the paragraph 27. This document is detailed. Follow us bit by bit, paragraph by paragraph. Now, on 30th December 2021, the working group transmitted the allegations from the source to the government of Nigeria and Kenya, and under its regular communications procedure. Who is the source? For those that are joining us for the first time, the source in this reference is Bruce Fein, the International Attorney of Nnamdi Kanu. He is the source. He was the one that went to the United Nations to file a compelling case bringing to their knowledge the sufferings of Nnamdi Kanu, his inhuman, degrading treatment and abuse of his fundamental human rights, and by extension, bringing to the understanding of the global world what the Biafran people are going through and what they are looking for, what they are searching for, what Nnamdi Kanu is going through, what he's looking for. Referendum for the free, independent Biafran state, Biafran nation. He is the source. And after going through all the evidence that he brought before them, all the allegation that he made, all the fact that he put forward in this very compelling case, the global body now began to take their decision. And this is the response that is coming from the government of Nigeria and the government of Kenya. Let's continue. On 30 December 2021, the working group transmitted the allegations from the source to the government of Nigeria and Kenya under its regular communications procedure. In other words, what Bruce Fein told the United Nations, all the evidence that he placed before them, all the information that he gave to them, were also transmitted, were also sent across to the Nigerian government and to the Kenyan government for them to respond to it. Because when allegation is made before the law, the person that is being accused is expected to have a say. It is called fair hearing. The accused has the opportunity to respond to the allegations, to respond to the accusations, not by mere assertions, but with evidence. Because the allegation, if it is made with evidence, it must be refuted or disputed or argued with evidence. So all that Bruce Fein brought to the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention on behalf of Nnamdi Kanu, they were also sent across to the Nigerian government and to the Kenyan government. This is the procedure of this very global body, how they handle matters. They don't just rush into conclusion or decision without hearing from the accused. Now, we must continue. I think I've done enough explanation under this very paragraph 27. This is for those that are joining us for the first time, and of course, those that are also following up. Now, we must continue speedily. The working group requested the governments to provide by 28 February 2022 detailed information about the current situation of Mr. Kanu and to clarify the legal provisions justifying his continued detention, as well as its compatibility with the obligations of Nigeria and Kenya under international human rights law. Under international human rights law, these two governments were supposed to update, we are supposed to respond to the allegation made by Bruce Fein, and also must tell the United Nations under what condition are you still holding Nnamdi Kanu in solitary confinement in Abuja, Nigeria. The government of Nigeria was expected to explain in details according to what we just read now. Not just by dismissing it. Oh, it's not true. Oh, it cannot be true. Oh, how did you know? Oh, who sent you the information? No. The working group, let's read again. The working group requested the government to provide by 28 February 2022 detailed information about the current situation of Mr. Kanu and to clarify the legal provisions. The legal provisions, not ethnic provisions, not tribal sentiment or emotional or political provisions. The legal provision. Legal, what did the law say? That is what this very paragraph is trying to explain to us here. That the government of Nigeria and the government of Kenya, they should provide and clarify legal provisions justifying the continued detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as at 2022. Some people are surprised to hear about this because the mainstream media did not allow you to hear the truth. We fought for it and we got it. And that is why somebody like me, I have taken it upon myself to make sure I keep speaking about it. I know what we put in to make it a reality. Bruce Fenn fought. Madam Bridget Okafor and her group, IPOB Biafran Women Group, they fought. Rising Sun, they fought. And a few others, they fought. We fought together to bring about the very justice, to bring about the very powerful, all-important, all-encompassing, well-detailed, audacious statement and judgment from the United Nations. And we must bring it to the knowledge of the world. It doesn't matter those that want to suppress it. We don't care. Those that are feeling threatened by what we are doing, we don't care. The truth must prevail. This working group was telling the Nigerian government and the Kenyan authority, explain to us the legal basis, on what base, under the law, that you are still holding Nnamdi Kanu in the DSS dungeon in Abuja, Nigeria. Not because you don't like him, not because maybe the tone of his voice, you don't like it, the way he broadcasts, the way he talk, he called Nigeria zoo. Those are not what they're asking for. What is the legal basis for holding him? Tell us. We want to hear. You claim that you are an independent nation. You claim that you have law. Under what legal basis? International, not based on your domestic laws. Under international universal declaration on human rights. Tell us. Because you are signatory to those treaties. You are signatory to those declarations. You are signatory. You signed it. You accepted it and you domesticated it. You domesticated it. You made it part of your domestic laws. Tell us that under this very legal provision, we have decided to continue to hold Nnamdi Kanu. That is what this paragraph is telling them to explain in detail, as well as its compatibility with obligations of Nigeria and Kenya under international human rights laws, under international human rights laws. And in particular, with regard to the treaties, with regards to the treaties ratified by the two countries, by the two states, Nigeria and Kenya. Tell us. Moreover, the working group called upon the government of Nigeria to ensure Mr. Kanu's physical and mental integrity. The working group, they spoke and said, make sure that you don't take lightly his physical and mental integrity. Don't ever play politics with his health. Don't ever play ethnic politics or regional politics with his integrity, his mental sanity, mental integrity, mental sanity, mental condition. In other words, don't subject him to psychological torture, mental torture, emotional torture. Paragraph 28. I don't want to do too much analysis. I want to read it because we still have a long way to go. This document contains about 114 paragraphs. We are just at the paragraph 28. So I have to really speed it up because the really juicy paragraphs are coming. They really, oh dear Lord in heaven, you see this document? We give glory to the Most High God for giving it to us. It's a victory. Now, paragraph 28. On 25th January 2022, the government of Nigeria submitted a reply in which it stated that given that the case is ongoing in national courts, any reaction by the federal government of Nigeria will be unconscionable Nothing further was submitted by the government of Nigeria. Very arrogant and dictatorial government. Look at what they responded. Look at their response. Remember what we are focusing on in this very document. Responses from the governments, responses from the two governments. Look at what the Nigerian government sent as a response. When this very powerful, intelligent question was thrown at them, they were asked to clarify in detail. Clarify. Make it very, very clear to our understanding and the whole world. Detailed information about the current situation of Mr. Kanu and to clarify the legal provisions justifying his continued detention, as well as its compatibility with the obligations of Nigeria and Kenya under international human rights law. And in particular, with regards to the treaties ratified, signed, domesticated by the two countries, by the two states. Moreover, the working group called upon the government of Nigeria to ensure Mr. Kanu's physical and mental integrity. Now, look at the response of the Nigerian government, which is it is a clear reputation of what every common Nigerian has been facing and saying. So arrogant and so brazen in corruption. Look at what is submitted as their response. On 25th January 2022, the government of Nigeria submitted a reply in which it stated that, given that the case is ongoing in national courts, any action by the federal government of Nigeria will be unconscionable. They are not asking you for action. They are asking you, explain to us. I hope you're following. Those of you that are watching now, those of you that are watching us live on air right now, those of you that are live watching me right now, I hope you're following. A simple question that even elementary school pupil can give a very definite, clean answer to. Straight answer. Simple. Tell us in details. Under what law, under what legal provision have you continued to hold Nnamdi Kanu in solitary confinement till today? Tell us. And such legal basis or provisions should be compatible with international human rights laws. Not just because, oh, this is Nigeria, oh, this is Africa, oh, this is the government of Muhammadu Buhari. Oh, no, we don't like Igbo. Oh, we don't want to. No. Under what legal provision are you holding Nnamdi Kanu? Show us where it is. And also, those legal provisions, how compatible are they with international human rights laws? How compatible are they? Are they consistent? Are they contrary? Are they sounding the same tone with that of the international human rights laws? You cannot just make a law in your country that is contrary to the international human rights laws or international laws, consistent with them. It's not consistent. And you claim that Nigeria is a sovereign state, that you can just make a law for yourself. But you belong to the Committee of Nations. But you're seeking for security seat in the United Nations. You want to become a Security Council member. And now you make a law, or your law is not consistent with the international best practices or laws with regards to respect to human rights. more especially in regard to the treaties that you signed, in regard to the treaty. That is what the working group told the Nigerian country. He said, with regards to the treaty you signed, you are aware of the conventions and the international human rights, universal declarations on human rights and covenants. You are aware of it. You know that it talks about self-determination. You know it talks about freedom of speech. You know it talks about, and you signed it. Tell us, in the light of this thing you signed, how are you handling the case of Nnamdi Kanu? I think I've done enough explanation. I'm going to read the next paragraphs very straight, except in such a circumstance, I am compelled to throw more light to them that you may understand where we're coming from. We are bringing this document back to the screen, okay? And what did the Nigerian government say? Look at it on the screen. That is the only explanation they could give. They say because the case is ongoing in national courts. That is the court of Justice Bintanyako. Because the case is ongoing in national court, any reaction by the federal government of Nigeria will be unconscionable. They are not telling you a reaction. They're telling you, furnish us with the information detailed according to the law, how you are handling this man, Mr. Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. Now, I want you to understand this grammar that is on the screen. Look at it. Understand it. They are speaking grammar, thinking they can deceive the United Nations by empty, useless, baseless grammar. What did they say? That any action by the government or any reaction by the government will be unconscionable. Unconscionable. They are trying to say that if we respond to you based on your demand to furnish you with detailed legal basis for holding Nnamdi Kanu, it will be unreasonable. That is what they're trying to say here. That it is unreasonable. That we have to be cautious. We have to be careful. If we say anything or respond to you and tell you, look at how we are treating Nnamdi Kanu, it will be unreasonable. That is what they look at it here, unconscionable. That is what they are trying to say. I don't even understand whether they understood this grammar before they spoke it in that their response. Unconscionable. They are telling you not whether it is reasonable or not. In the light of the law, you claim that you are a country, you claim that you arrested him, you want him to come and face trial in Nigeria. He cannot face trial without the law. Now, tell us according to the law, how are you handling his case? How are you treating him? Explain to us. They say, instead of them to tell them and show them the provisions of the law they are using, based on international human rights laws, then I say, if we answer you and it will be unreasonable to answer you. It will be unreasonable to provide you with detail of the relevant laws and provisions, legal provisions for holding Nnamdi Kanu today. It will be unreasonable. Tell us according to the law. They say, no, it is according to reason. It is according to reason. It is according to sense. Our 5 senses as a government. It will be unreasonable. It will be unconscionable for the government to react or say anything about how we are holding Nnamdi Kanu. But they will go to the television, they will go to radio, they will go to different places, even in their court, and they will be lambasting Nnamdi Kanu for his agitation for the freedom of his people. But now, the same way you have been shouting and talking up and down, tell us under what legal basis you are holding him. They said, no, this time around we can no longer talk. Our mouth will have to shut up because it will be unreasonable. Now look at what the United Nations said. Apart from this thing that the Nigerian government said in their reply, nothing further was submitted by the government of Nigeria. Nothing else was submitted. But they will go to newspaper, they will talk and talk and talk, they will write up to 7 pages. But to respond to the United Nations on such a national, international, all-important case, they did not respond. Their response was not even up to 3 sentences. Because they were shocked that United Nations has stepped into the case of Nnamdi Kanu. They were shocked. They never expected it. They never saw it coming. But by the grace of God, the Most High God in heaven made it happen to his glory and honor with the human instrument that he used to make it a reality. Look at the paragraph 29. The working group regrets that it received no reply from the government of Kenya and that it also did not seek an extension in accordance with paragraph 16 of working group's methods of work. Now let's go to discussion. It is now becoming more interesting for those that have been following up. If you are just joining us, I am Pst Maxwell Nnawuihe, and this is one of our enlightenment broadcasts. The focus is United Nations decision over Nnamdi Kanu, Nigeria, Kenya. To follow up on this broadcast, on this very platform, Engine Speak, go to live video archive. Go to live video archive. If you go to live video archive, you will see all of this broadcast under my name, Pst Maxwell Nnawuihe. When you click on each of them, it will not show you the related broadcast. All of them carries the word UN. This is to guide our followers to follow through the broadcast from last month until this very day. And we will continue until the very document of 114 pages is exhausted. And at the end of it, those of you that have been hating Nnamdi Kanu, you will embrace him with open arms. You will fall in love with him. You will know that he's a very good man, that he committed no crime. He's a victim of a lawless country. Discussion under paragraph 30. Discussion under paragraph 30. Now, the working group has in its jurisprudence established the ways in which it deals with evidentiary issues. If the source has established a prima facie case for breach of international law constituting arbitrary detention, the burden of proof should be understood to rest upon the government if it wishes to refute the allegations. Did you see what they said? Let me read again. Paragraph 30. The working group has in its jurisprudence established the ways in which it deals with evidentiary issues. That is, issues that has to do with evidence. If the source has established a prima facie case for breach of international law constituting arbitrary detention, the burden of proof should be understood to rest upon the government if it wishes to refute the allegations. In other words, as Bruce Fein came to the United Nations and presented evidence to substantiate what he is saying about the detention of Nnamdi Kanu and the role of the Nigerian government and that of the Kenyan government with evidence, he has come to make allegation and accusation. Now, the burden of proof, according to what they are saying here in the paragraph 30, the burden of proof should be understood to rest upon the government if it wishes to refute the allegations. In other words, it is now incumbent upon the government. It is now the burden. It is now the role. It is now the responsibility of the government to prove that what Bruce Fein has said about Nnamdi Kanu and about the role of the two governments is true, or it is lie, or it is not correct, or he made a mistake, or he exaggerated the fact, or that the facts are not real or authentic. It is for the government of Nigeria, the government of Kenya, to now prove him wrong if they wish to refute the allegations, if they want to deny the allegations. I hope you're following, but they didn't do it. Now, it continues. Mere assertions by the government that lawful procedures have been followed are not sufficient to rebut the source's allegation. Sorry for my language. I'm trying to say that the dancing step is about to change. Are you following? The working group said, if such a weighty allegation has been made against you, in the case of Nnamdi Kanu, by his attorney that approached us, you are now the one to come and prove it that is not true. And it is not by mere assertions. It is not by mere assertions. It is not by saying, oh, it's not true. Oh, what we have done is according to our law. Nigeria is an independent country. What we have done is according to our law. Our law said. He said, mere assertions by the government that lawful procedures have been followed are not sufficient to rebut the source allegation, to rebut the allegations of Bruce Fein on behalf of Nnamdi Kanu. We continue. In the present case, are you following? In the present case, the government of Kenya has opted not to challenge the prima facie credible allegations made by the source, made by Bruce Fein, while the government of Nigeria has only stated that since the case is ongoing in national court, any reaction by the federal government of Nigeria will be unconscionable. I hope you're following. Paragraph 31. And this is how they will keep you in court. When the government break the law, they will tell you go to court. They know how their own court works. Adjournment, 3 months adjournment, 5 months adjournment, 6 months adjournment, 1 year adjournment. The matter will remain in court until that very government in power, their tenure comes to an end. And another government or another tenure will inherit it. Another government administration will inherit that very judgment or that very case. Just like in the case of Buhari. He has done his own tenure and he has left office. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has inherited the case of Nnamdi Kanu. If this man is very intelligent, he will wash his hands off this case. But I know as a Yoruba man, as a tribal bigot that he is, it will be very difficult for him to do it. But he has done it for his brother Sunday Igboho. Yes, he has done it. The government of Nigeria, even in the time of Buhari, they did it. Sunday Igboho was released. The one that the case against him that was pending in the court was withdrawn by the federal government was Sowore. Sowore is a Yoruba man. Bola Ahmed Tinubu decided that they now withdraw the case against Sowore, which was ongoing even during the time of Muhammadu Buhari. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has terminated that case. 2 Yoruba men are free. 1 Biafran is still in the DSS dungeon in Abuja, Nigeria. Injustice of the highest order. And that is why Nigeria can never thrive, can never prosper, can never, because of injustices. When you dehumanize a man, when you fight against a man that did not do you any wrong, you think that God Almighty in heaven will be happy for you or with you. You think that you'll be, so caressing you and scratching your back and say, well done for dealing with my servant Nnamdi Kanu. Well done. Now, look at the paragraph 31. Not noting that the allegations submitted by the source concerned to government, the working group shall proceed to examine these separately. The working group decided to examine the matter leveled against the two governments separately. Now, allegations in relation to Kenya. What you'll be hearing now is about Kenya. After Kenya, you will be hearing about Nigeria. This is how they did this job. Very thorough, very professional, very detailed, very commendable. Paragraph 32. In the absence of a response from the government of Kenya, the working group has decided to render the present opinion, to give the present judgment. This opinion, anywhere you hear opinion here, they're talking about judgment. Okay? We start again. Paragraph 32. In the absence of a response from the Kenyan government, the working group has decided to render the present judgment opinion in conformity with paragraph 15 of its methods of work. Working group is a group in the United Nations. This group is in charge of human rights and arbitrary detentions. Okay? Now, paragraph 33. The working group shall consider whether the arrest and detention of Mr. Kanu by the government of Kenya amounted to arbitrary detention within any of the categories recognized in the working groups, in the working methods of the working group. Category 1. Category 1. Follow me. If you are just joining us, I am Pst Maxwell Nnawuihe. This is our enlightenment broadcast on what the United Nations said their decision over Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Category 1, paragraph 34. The source has submitted, remember, the source is Bruce Fein. The source has submitted, and the government has chosen not to contest, that when Mr. Kanu was arrested at the Nairobi airport by Kenyan security forces on 19th June 2021, he was swiftly taken to an undisclosed and unknown location, which was not a police station or any of the conventional Kenyan security detention facilities, and was subjected to 8 days of severe torture and ill treatment before he was extraordinarily renditioned to Abuja, Nigeria on or about 29 June 2021. Did you see that? The Kenyan government did not refute what Bruce Fein said, that when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was abducted at the Nairobi airport, he was taken to undisclosed and unknown location, which was not a conventional, a normal Kenyan security detention facility. And he was subjected to 8 days of severe torture and ill treatment before he was extraordinarily renditioned to Abuja, Nigeria on or about 29 June 2021. I hope you're following. The Kenyan government was mute. They didn't say nothing to refute it, to say, oh, it's not true. Oh, it's not correct. It is not true. They kept mute because it is the truth. And they were all shocked that this matter could get to the United Nations. Paragraph 35. The source, Bruce Fein, submitted that Mr. Kanu is a British citizen who was lawfully present in Kenya. What is clear from the source narration is that no arrest warrant was produced to Mr. Kanu at the time of his arrest, and Kenyan authorities did not explain to him reasons for his arrest. They didn't explain to him the reason for arresting him. They didn't explain to him the reasons for abducting him. The working group is mindful that the government has chosen not to contest, not to say anything about these allegations, although it had the opportunity to do so. Now, this is where we are going to bring this very broadcast to an end. We are bringing it to an end here, and we're going to continue later on today. And I don't know exactly when it's going to be. Maybe later tonight, we'll come back with this very enlightenment broadcast. But before we go, let's take the paragraph 36. The working group has consistently stated. The working group has consistently stated that for a deprivation of liberty to have a legal basis, the authorities must invoke that legal basis and apply it to the circumstances of the case through an arrest warrant, which they didn't do. Stated differently, international law on detention includes the right to be present with an arrest warrant in cases that do not involve arrests made in flagrante delicto. To ensure the objectivity of the arrest process. They must ensure the objectivity of the arrest the arrest process, which they didn't do. It is also required that the decision on whether the arrest is warranted be taken by an outside authority, that is, a competent, independent, and impartial judicial authority. This is procedurally inherent in the right to personal liberty and security and the prohibition of arbitrary deprivation under Article 3 and 9 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 9 of the Covenant, and Principles 2, 4, and 10 of the Body of Principles for the Protection of All Persons under any form of detention or imprisonment. The Body of Principles. Remember, this is where we're stopping today, to come back later tonight, if possible, and we are going to continue from the paragraph 37. It is becoming more interesting that this is not a joke. It is becoming more interesting that actually the Most High God in heaven went to the United Nations through his human instrument to bring about this powerful judgment and justice for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and for Biafrans in general. And believe you me, after the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and after the coming of Biafra, a lot of indigenous nationalities that are trapped in different British gerrymandered artificial borders or boundaries, they are going to be free. That is why they don't want Biafra to be free. That is why they don't want Nnamdi Kanu to be free, because they know that the moment that Nnamdi Kanu is released, it is freedom for Biafra. And when Biafra is released or Biafra is restored, it is going to be freedom for all the indigenous people that are lumped up somewhere in different kind of British or colonial artificial boundaries. That's why they are so jittery. That is why they are so apprehensive. That's why they are so angry. That's why they are so upset. But we believe that justice is going to prevail. Goodbye from here. I am Pastor Maxwell Nnawuihe. See you in the next segment of this enlightenment broadcast. God bless you.